And a big, giant welcome to everyone listening, all the Wolfpack listeners, old and new alike, as far as how long you've been listening to the podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Allen Wolf. Another episode. It's season 1, episode 35. And we are here to comment, or rather, I'm here to comment on the news nationally and politically and worldwide news. So let's lead off what's obviously in the news. Most of you already know there was another assassination attempt on Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Now, the suspect faces gun charges. That's Ryan Wesley Routh. The suspect is the apparent assassination attempt, or they were saying it was a very serious attempt. I'm trying to figure out what the difference between a serious attempt and a not so serious attempt. But he's been charged with 2 counts, including possession of a firearm, while a convicted felon, and possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. Trump was not harmed, his campaign said. Details on the investigation at a news conference happening this Monday. The acting director of the Secret Service said the suspect did not have line of sight on Donald Trump. Ronald Reagan Jr. also defended the level of security provided for the former president. Trump now is also I'm laughing while I'm reading it, and I apologize, because every time I read something stupid like this, I lose my train of thought. Trump is now blaming Harris and Biden. For his part, he sought to blame President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, telling Fox News Digital the suspect believed the rhetoric of Biden and Harris, and he acted on it. Everyone want to process this for a sec. He believed the rhetoric of Biden and Harris and acted on it. So basically, Donald Trump saying Democrats are evil, we've got to kill them, migrants are terrible, I don't see any shootings against migrants or Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, nor should we. So Donald delusional, again making a stupid ass statement about it's the Democrats' fault. And when I heard about the latest assassination attempt, obviously violence is not the answer. But this is going to be ongoing, people. Nothing's going to change. There may be several other attempts on Donald Trump's life. Maybe there's an attempt on Kamala Harris and Tim Walz's life. We are in a different paradigm in the United States and the world today, and mainly because of Donald Trump. When will this madness end? Will it end before November? I doubt it. I think we're going to get a lot of stuff happening. So, crossing the fingers, furrowing the brow, and leaning forward and hunched down, and hopefully we have no other major actions taking place. It remains to be seen. So more chaos continues with Donald delusional. Donald, this Monday, which is today, the day I'm recording this, you'll hear this late tonight or tomorrow morning, Tuesday, he's unveiling a new cryptocurrency business during an evening address from his Mar-a-Lago estate, the latest venture that stands to benefit the former president as he seeks another 4 years in the Oval Office. Now, details on the new business, which will be called World Liberty Financial. The details are limited, but Trump's sons have spent weeks promoting it. The GOP nominee himself has teased that the latest expansion of his family's business empire, from the same social media account that carries his political messaging. So Donald Trump getting involved in another business. You know, no major party nominee has ever leveraged their candidacy for personal profit quite like Donald has during his 3rd White House bid. Since entering the race nearly 2 years ago, Trump has netted millions of dollars selling new items featuring moments from his political life, while also generating billions of dollars in wealth through a social media site where he speaks directly to supporters. His fans can buy coffee table books featuring pictures and letters from his presidency, or if they prefer, a Trump-themed Bible. He has sold $399 golden sneakers, recently advertised to supporters 50 all-new stunning digital trading cards for purchase at a cost of $99 each. Buy 75 and wait, you get access to a dinner gala with Trump, plus pieces of a suit he wore in his debate against President Joe Biden. These cards show me dancing and even holding some bitcoins, Trump said in a video posted to Truth Social. You know what bothers me the most is not Donald, but his supporters who just don't see the lunacy of Donald Trump, an unserious man, and millions of people want him to be the leader of the free world, the most powerful man in the world. And I told you many episodes ago, the most dangerous man in the world. All right, please let's help stop the lunacy from Donald. This never ends. And I am so tired of reading about him. When will it stop? I want to take a brief moment to invite the people listening. If you are not a member of the Wolfpack is the listeners of this podcast, and it's free. In the near future, I will be charging for the podcast. We call it monetizing the podcast. That's how myself and other podcasters earn a living. Right now, the podcast is free, and I'm extending to all of the listeners for you to continue listening to this podcast if you enjoy it for free. And you do it very easily. You become a member of the Wolfpack. No catch, no weirdness, very straightforward. Email me at a worldgonemadpodcast@gmail.com. A worldgonemadpodcast@gmail. Just say Wolfpack link. Give me your first name. Say hello. Any comments you have. And when you say Wolfpack link, I will email you back. Give you the link to join the Wolfpack. It's free. Takes 10 seconds. Can you do me that favor? I really would appreciate it. Well, there's a mystery happening. China's secretive space plane has returned to Earth. Its mission, unknown. Here's what we do know, and rather what we don't know, about China's space plane. What is a space plane? Isn't this old technology? Well, the term space plane often evokes NASA's space shuttle, which flew 135 missions from 1981 to 2011, carrying astronauts into orbit and helping to construct the International Space Station. You might also recall the Soviet Union's ill-fated Boran space shuttle, which completed one successful uncrewed flight in 1988 before being discontinued. So what do we know about China's space plane program? Well, not too much. China has never said what specific technologies the spacecraft has tested or released any photographs of it since it began operating in orbit in 2020. So it's still mostly a mystery. You know how the other side, people who just don't think with their brains, say global warming is a hoax. Well, a once-in-a-thousand-year rainfall event from an unnamed storm floods homes and forces rescues in North Carolina. Floodwater surged into homes, stranded vehicles forced water rescues in coastal North Carolina Monday after tropical storm-like system dumped historic amounts of rain on the area in a matter of hours. It's probably the worst flooding that any of us has seen in Carolina Beach, town manager Bruce Oakley told CNN. We've had to rescue people from cars, also some from homes and businesses. And then you have Central Europe, where at least 17 people have been killed in some of the worst floods to hit Central Europe in decades, as Storm Boris sweeps through the region, dumping well over a month's worth of rain. Austria, Poland, the Czech Republic, Hungary have been hit with extreme rainfall. The Polish government declared a state of emergency after days of rain devastated wide paths of the country's southwestern region. Prime Minister Donald Tusk announced $260 million in emergency aid for the hardest hit regions on Monday, Polish national news agency PAP reported. And then you have China. This happened. Shanghai was slammed by what China says is the city's strongest storm in 7 decades. And then there's Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe has authorized a mass slaughter of elephants to feed citizens left hungry by its worst drought in decades. With nearly half of the country's population facing the risk of acute hunger, we are targeting to cull about 200 elephants, Tinashe Farawo, a spokesperson for the Zimbabwe Parks and Wildlife Authority, told CNN. Global warming a hoax? If I hear one more friend or family member say that, well, I was going to say I was going to bitch slap them. But use your brains, people. Think. The previous episode, I talked about Amazon and about how their service, or rather delivery of packages that you buy, has gone downhill. Well, Amazon just came out with some new news, and Amazon tells its workers they must come to the office 5 days a week. That's right. Amazon is demanding that its corporate employees return to the office 5 days a week, a significant change from its current pandemic-era hybrid policy that requires them to be in the office just 3 days a week. CEO Andy Jassy made the announcement about the new policy Monday, writing that the change will help its thousands of employees invent, collaborate, be connected enough to each other and our culture to deliver the absolute best for customers and the business. This policy takes effect on January 2nd, 2025. So a question for you, the Wolfpack listeners. Has anything changed since COVID, 2019, 2020, for you if you still work? And since that time, in the last couple of months, has anything changed again? Let me know. Text me on the app you're listening from. Email me. You can leave a voice message, 833-399-9653. It's free. Nobody answers. It's just a voice system. 833-399-9653. Let me know. Has anything affected you now with corporate structures saying, you got to do this and you got to do that now? Here's something fun. New endorsements and announcements are coming about the presidential election. Okay, let's talk about someone we all love and respect. Senator Joe Manchin, the conservative Democrat turned independent. Remember, he always pissed off Joe Biden and all his policies. He had toyed with a presidential run, has long been a thorn in the side of the Democrats, and has been mum about the candidate he's backing in November. But that could soon change. In an interview with CNN, the veteran West Virginia senator signaled he may get off the sidelines, and he plans to speak to Vice President Kamala Harris soon. Oh, I could see that, yes, Manchin told CNN when asked if he'd endorse a candidate before November. So we'll see where Joe falls. Joe is always the wild card there. And Utah Senator Mitt Romney, the Republican Party's 2012 presidential nominee who voted twice to convict former President Donald Trump in his impeachment trials, reiterated his disdain for Trump and objected to the former president's refusal to say at last week's debate that he wanted Ukraine to win its war against Russia. Remember, Donald wouldn't commit. He was asked twice if he would endorse Harris. Romney pointedly refused to say, I'm certainly not going to be voting for former President Trump. And I think that's been very clear. Romney said when asked the first time whether he'd back Harris. So he's kind of non-committal. Then you got a third Trump detractor, GOP Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska. She doesn't plan to vote for Harris, even as she said of the former president's debate performance, ready? I don't think it was Donald Trump's best evening. Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, I want to point out, you could have stopped all this, remember, during the impeachment trials? But you said, I don't think he's going to do it again. So therefore, we're not going to vote for impeachment. If you did, he would have been convicted and removed from office and wouldn't have been allowed to run again. But Lisa and Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, you wussed out and you didn't vote for impeachment and basically gave him a slap on the wrist and a pass. And look where we are at now. Shame on you. Any damage to this country that's happened or will happen after the election if he gets reelected is on you. Before I wrap up this episode, I want to remind you that it's very helpful to me. If you care enough to do this, I would appreciate it. If you subscribe for free on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can leave a ranking from 1 to 5 stars. Hopefully 5. If it's 4, that's fine, but hopefully you care enough to do that. And you can leave a comment, and that helps move this podcast up in the rankings. So please feel free to leave a ranking and a comment. I would appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to leave you with a crazy twist. You know, one of those little twists at the end. And I just found worth bringing to your attention. Marjorie Taylor Loonball, right? Marjorie Taylor Loonball calls far-right activist Laura Loomer's rhetoric a huge problem that doesn't represent MAGA. So Marjorie Taylor Loonball has a problem with Laura Loomer's rhetoric, saying that's a problem. You know you're in trouble when Marjorie Taylor Loonball is the voice of reason. She is getting upset at a person who is more loonballier than her. GOP Marjorie Taylor Loonball criticized far-right activist Laura Loomer this past Thursday, saying that her rhetoric and hateful tone is concerning and a problem and doesn't represent the MAGA movement as a whole. The comments from Marjorie Taylor Greene, a Georgia Republican who has her own high-profile history of incendiary and inflammatory remarks, come across after the congressman called on Loomer to take down an X-post, formerly known as Twitter. We have to do that. An X-post in which Loomer, said if Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris, who is half Indian, wins the White House will smell, I'm not making this up, like curry. And White House speeches will be facilitated via a call center, which is a deplorable statement. The White House will smell like curry. These speeches will be facilitated by a call center. But Marjorie Taylor Loonball finds someone more loonballier than her in Loomer. Hell has frozen over, and my left toe has fallen off. Wow. All right. I wanted to leave you with that. All right. I'm going to be back next week with another episode of A World Gone Mad. I'm your host, Jeff Allen Wolf. And hopefully until next week, you will stay hopeful.